WTIM.
Good morning. You're listening to WTIM, your information station, and our morning show. It's brought to you by People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville. I'm your host, Grayson Bauman, and joining us in this segment, we've got Blaine Smith, Executive Director, and Lori McDaniel, Volunteer Recruitment and Retention Manager with Heartland CASA. To the both of you, how are we? And good morning. Thanks for coming in.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
Of
Good morning.
course. And glad to have you guys here. Blaine, new to the show. Lori, had you just a couple months back with Schuyler. Blaine, Executive Director, big title for you as well. And so I was wondering, you kind of wanted to touch on some of the Heartland things and the Heartland CASA and what's going on with that. Well, I think a good place to start with is, what is Heartland CASA and what does CASA stand for? What can you tell us?
Yeah, so Heartland CASA, we are a nonprofit agency. We started in 1998 in Macon County and have expanded into Moultrie, Christian, DeWitt, and Macon. And we are court-appointed special advocates that are assigned through the court and the judge in a foster care case to be an advocate for best interest of the child that has come into care. And we base that on teaching volunteers in the community to advocate for the children in their community. And we are there to walk step by step next to them like they do for the children that they serve.
And that's where the volunteers comes into things. And that's when we turn to Lori McDaniel. Lori, we need them. And what can you tell me about that process? Because at first I thought, well, maybe you had to have a degree, maybe you had to have something in particular, but as far as you told me, volunteering is a lot easier maybe than some might think.
Yes, absolutely. I think, first of all, I want to get rid of the misconception when people hear foster care. They think that we're foster parents and that we take children into our homes, and that's absolutely not what we do. But we're not foster parents. We're ordinary people from everyday walks of life that do something extraordinary, and that's just giving a few hours of our time per month to a child, to help a child, to make sure they're in safe, permanent homes. You don't have to have a degree in law, social services, child welfare. You just have to have a heart for children and want to make a difference. You have to be 21 and you have to be able to pass a background check. And then prior to becoming an official advocate, you go through a 30-hour pre-service training course. And in that class, we teach you about, and I'm actually the trainer as well. So we actually teach you about child welfare laws, just the basics. We talk about domestic violence, mental health and substance abuse, the court system. When we touch on like mental health and substance abuse, it's not because you have to be an expert in that, but we want you to understand this is where our families come from, because we have to have an understanding of where our families and our children come from so that we can advocate without bias for their best interest. And really, we are a trusted and consistent adult in that child's life while they're in foster care.
So we've dispelled the rumor that we are going to be bringing these kids to our homes and we are not going to be taking care of them in that regard, but we are going to be looking out for them and putting ourselves in their shoes and in hopes to bring them their best interest as well. So it used to be Macon County CASA or Macon CASA, but as Blaine let us know before we got started here today, there's a reason maybe that we wanted to expand a little bit, and we've done so. Can you tell me the counties that we've expanded to and why that mission was so important?
Sure. So the expansion of CASA is necessary, I think, for every county in Illinois, across the nation. I believe every child that comes into care deserves to have a CASA. They need somebody in their lives who's going to advocate and be consistent for them. When you come into care as a child, there is so much trauma that even comes with that. The removal from your home, whether it was safe or not, is still a trauma for that child. So to have a person from the beginning to the end of their journey that is consistent. Caseworkers come and go. And I know that from experience. So quickly, I will tell you, I am a former foster parent, and I adopted 2 children. And we had 8 caseworkers in that time, multiple counselors, caseworker supervisors. It was complete insanity. I'm not saying they were all negative or bad, but it was added trauma to my children because of that. So having a consistent person from the beginning to end can help reduce that trauma that is experienced while in care. And not only that, it's such a great way for that child to know that, hey, there's stability. There is somebody who cares about me. And I know I'm going to see them at least once a month. And I know that they're going to be there and do what is best for me. That's huge, huge. So yeah, and the big point of expanding into Christian County, when I got that opportunity, I was like, yes, let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm from here. I graduated from Kincaid. I've been that foster parent. I know what that experience is like. And that's why I came to CASA. So to be able to bring that into my hometown and my home county it's rewarding and it's great. And I'm so excited to be able to serve the children here.
Well, very glad for you to have the resources to be able to expand. And that also shows, one, your mission and what you're doing, but also to the support, hopefully, for it as well. You mentioned 2 of those kids that you took into foster care and then later became your own children.
Yes.
But there are hundreds of kids right now that need help. And I'm wondering how we get enough volunteers for all those kids that need help. Lori, how might we do some of that?
So first of all, I think the biggest reason people don't volunteer is because they're unaware for any organization. And then when it comes to children or situations that are like kids in foster care, it's easy for us to say it doesn't happen here, it doesn't happen in our community, or we're afraid to commit. But again, back to it, the biggest reason people don't volunteer is because they're unaware. So we are really pushing to create awareness in Christian County. We're making our presence known. That is our primary focus right now, because if we don't have volunteers, we can't advocate for the children. We do have a staff of 10, but volunteers, they're the heart of our organization.
And for you, sorry.
No, sorry. I was going to say, and one of the things that I can put the numbers out there for you. In Christian County alone, there's between 100 and 150 children in care. Last time I checked, it was around 135. In the first quarter of the fiscal year for Heartland CASA, we served 353 children. We typically serve over 500. Last year was about 552, I believe, children we served in a year. So if we don't have the volunteers to come into Christian County and be able to give these children an advocate, somebody who's going to give that time, we can't serve those children. We have currently served not one child in Christian County. We are doing our best being here, going to places to get the volunteers, because there are 135 children in care here. Mm-hmm. And we don't have one volunteer to be able to advocate.
And I've been with CASA a little over 5 years. And in the time that I've been here, I get constant calls from Christian County wondering how they can get a CASA advocate on their case. And it's heartbreaking when I have to tell someone I can't, because we weren't in Christian County yet. And it was just such a great feeling to know we're in Christian County and now we can help. And when we're in the community, the community has embraced us wonderfully. It's been, we've had a warm welcome, but now we're glad to be here, and we're glad that you love us and want us here, but we need your help.
Yes. And 135 kids it's a surprising number. And when you think about 4 counties, to know that 500 plus needed your help, it happens and it's here. Yeah. And so don't go thinking that this is small town USA and that's not how it works here, because that is. Yeah. And so this is why Heartland CASA is so important in their message and also what they're looking to do. For you guys in 2024, I'm seeing here thousands of hours serving dozens of children. Yes. Volunteer-wise numbers, where are we at right now with that?
Not great. So this is our focus. Lori and I have done a lot of collaborating and work on how can we get this message out? How do we get the community to see that this is needed? We in Macon County have been there since 1998. There have been, it's a roller coaster. Honestly, it's a roller coaster of volunteers. When COVID hit, those numbers went down. We are slowly going back up, but it's not something I can put on my staff to say, hey, here's 135 children. I need you to serve them without one volunteer. I can't do that. I wouldn't have staff.
Probably not. And even though there are the right hearts in it and the right people in this, you also have to have the time to recover yourself, or at least take the time for yourself, or you're not going to be the best person you can be for these children. So I really want to push that volunteers are needed. I know that's what you guys are hoping to do today as well, but this is one of those things that we'd like to see succeed in Christian County. People have wanted it in Christian County, but now we need your help, as Lori mentioned. Let's take ourselves a break. I'm joined by Lori McDaniel, the Volunteer Recruitment and Retention Manager with Heartland CASA, and Blaine Smith, Executive Director of Heartland CASA. We'll come back with them. We'll talk more about their mission and what they're hoping to get out of it, and also their expansion to Christian County and more. You're listening to WTIM, your information station.
Your information station, WTIM.
Ag in the classroom, scholarship programs, between off-the-farm job, the farm, and family. My life without Farm Bureau would feel as though I'm on my own.
The Illinois Farm Bureau Advantage: impactful advocacy, trusted information, and meaningful developments.
Nicole Patrick here, your local country financial representative at 1305 West Bresser in Taylorville. I'm proud to recognize the Lady Tornado student athletes that represent our community by being the exclusive sponsor of the ILSportswire.com Taylorville Lady Tornadoes Player of the Game this school year. At the end of each game, a Lady Tornado will be selected to receive a certificate for being named our Player of the Game, and they'll be featured in a highlighted reel on the ILSportswire.com social media platforms. Best of luck to all the girls' teams this season, and go Lady Tornadoes!
Finding the right employees can be a real challenge these days, whether you're hiring full-time or part-time. That's where the regional radio stations come in. We're here to help you connect with the qualified candidates you need. Check out IllinoisJobPost.com. That's IllinoisJobPost.com. It's part of our comprehensive radio and internet employment campaign designed to get your job openings noticed. For details, just reach out to your account manager. Put the power of radio and the internet to work for you at IllinoisJobPost.com.
If you're 40 and over, you'll recognize these artists by their first names: Frank, Dean, Sammy, Andy, Nat, Diana, Michael. Well, here's the big news. You can now hear Central Illinois' largest music library with over 3,500 songs on air and online at 965thechill.com. Tune in on the FM dial in Christian County and on your computer or smartphone. Hear these great artists and many more 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 965thechill.com.
Brenda Elder here, the Executive Director of the Shelby County Economic Development Corporation. From growing your business to attracting new investment, we're here to help. Find out more by clicking our icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
If you're tired of worrying about home maintenance and stairs at Hickory Point Garden Homes in Forsyth, you don't have to. Enjoy independent living duplexes that are half the cost of traditional independent living options. Find out more by clicking their icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
WTIM.
You're listening to WTIM, your information station, and our morning show. It's brought to you by People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville. I'm joined by Blaine Smith, Executive Director, and Lori McDaniel, Volunteer Recruitment and Retention Manager with Heartland CASA. We talked a little bit about what is Heartland CASA, why it matters so much, and I know that there's a personal story or two in there that could maybe help solidify why this matters to not only the community, but that child too. Whoever would like to tell me a story, please do. But I just think this would be a great way to kind of put it all together.
Okay. So When we call our advocates volunteers, I think that minimizes the importance of what they do. So because we are officers of the court and we do make such a huge difference, and we can be the difference in a child going home and not going home, or I'd rather say being safe and not being safe. I had a situation where and this is one of my cases, and there were 3 children. And we're required to see the child at least once a month in the home environment that they're in, because unfortunately, just because they're in a foster environment does not necessarily mean that they're in a safe foster environment. That they're supposed to be the agency, they're looking after them as well, and they visit them. But then there's CASA, and myself and another CASA staff member and advocate supervisor had gone to do our home visit, and we were unable to get in the home. But we were persistent, and we got into the home and unfortunately discovered the situation was not as it should have been. It had gone unnoticed without CASA having stood strong and doing their due diligence to get in the home and find out that the home was in fact not safe for the children. Those children would not be safe today. The children were removed, and they are in a safe environment now. That's the difference between having a CASA and not having a CASA.
And when you think about that too, you want to believe that foster parent or parents are going to do right by those kids, but of course there are bad apples in every bunch, and to know that that's out there, but that if you were not there, that situation, they might not have ever been removed from
Absolutely.
it. So that is one reason. And Blaine, I think you might have something to share too.
So, actually, as the executive director, hundreds of stories come to my mind. But I really want to shout out very quickly my staff and the volunteers that we currently have, because the difference and the impact that they make every day, they are consistent, they're showing up. I could not be more proud of being a part of this team and seeing the work that they do, and know that they all share a passion for what they are doing. That is one of the biggest things that I have seen in this position, is we have built a team with passion and want to advocate and make sure that what is wrong is being righted, and be there for every child that we could possibly be there for. Which is why we need volunteers so desperately. But one of the situations I am thinking about as executive director, I don't typically take cases, but I took 2 just to understand for my staff and continue into that clinical piece. I have one that has a volunteer on it, and I have one that doesn't have a volunteer on it. And the one that didn't, I've had for a couple of years. Those children were their parental rights were terminated, so parents aren't involved. The children have been in care for 5 years. They were in a foster home, and one of those children suffers from mental illness and due to their trauma, and they weren't getting the services they needed. They weren't getting the assessments needed to make it a permanent home for them. And that is something that I had to do and truly advocate for. And, it's just this month after 2 years that child is getting a psychological evaluation. There was even a removal from that foster home and back into. These children have known them for 5 years, but due to mental illness and just the lack of support, made another trauma while in care due to that. So as a CASA advocate, being in that role, I was able to make sure those children were returned to that safe home. People who love them, want to adopt them, want to make this a permanency for them, and get the mental health assessment and support that they need to make it a continued safe, permanent home. It is a huge passion of mine and probably my staff's that mental health is focused on. As an adoptive parent, I see it all, and it is hard.
It's a very difficult deal, and I wish we had more time to dive into all of this, because no, I can tell you're passionate about what you're talking about. I like passionate people, and that's what this conveys to me. And so I do want to mention one deal. On October 20th, we're having an informational session at the Taylorville Public Library.
Yes.
And that is, again, October 20th. If you would like to support, another way of doing so will be Friday, December 6th with the Holidays Gala, or Home for the Holidays Gala coming up with Heartland Casa. Lori, Blaine, thank you so much.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Grayson.
Executive Director Blaine Smith of Heartland Casa and Volunteer Recruitment and Retention Manager Lori McDaniel with Heartland Casa. You're listening to WTIM, your information station.
Awarded the Nobel Peace Prize next year. Johnson says he'll be working toward that end. Mr. Trump was passed over for the prize this year.